Same story, different team. Syracuse football back in the Dome failed to capitalize against another ACC team. We will fill you in on what you missed and check out what their chances are going bowling.
Well, even if they don't go bowling, there's always basketball season to look forward to. The Orange played its first exhibition game this past weekend, and there are plenty of new faces you'll be seeing a lot of this season.
And with arguably the best record in school history, the men's soccer team learned their fate in the ACC tournament bracket after playing their senior game against Boston College. And the only show to have your full coverage sports on the Hill, it's On the Bench. Here we go. Leaves change and the temperature drops in Syracuse. That means fall is officially over, and it also means that fall sports are too. Welcome inside the bench. I'm Sarah Merrifield.
And I'm Katie Muldowney. As 3 Orange teams played their last games of regular season play, we'll recap just how well they did. But Sarah, 2 big fan pleasers are still in full swing.
That's right, and we'll talk about more about basketball a little later, but football is coming up, and it's final home game of the season after a difficult loss to NC State this past weekend. With a 1-4 record in the ACC, NC State made the trip to the Dome and left the Orange with a little more than just one defeat. With injuries and tired players, the Syracuse offense is piecing together what they can to fill in the holes, but it still wasn't enough to get the win against the Wolfpack. Like I said, Syracuse playing NC State in the Dome after coming back from a road game. They're coming out of the tunnel there with a lot of oomph. NC State would run out early with a 9-0 lead in this one, but the Orange would respond on its final drive. A.J. Long to Ben Lewis, 15-yard touchdown. SU trails 9-7 at the break. Early in the third quarter, A.J. Long connects with fellow freshman Steve Ishmael. They do that a lot for a 25-yard touchdown. The Orange takes its first lead of the game, 14-9. But it wouldn't last long. Later in the third, SU offense was on the move, but A.J. Long's pass is intercepted by NC State's Ferrara McKeever. McKeever runs it 82 yards for a touchdown. The Wolfpack would track another touchdown at the start of the fourth quarter. Jacoby Brissett finds Thornton, and Thornton does not rest. NC State up 24-14. And after a field goal and an onside kick, Syracuse had one last chance. But in A.J. Long's desperation, it's intercepted. And it's icing on the cake for Syracuse to lose 24-17. Evan Weston was on site with more.
By any objective measure, NC State appeared to be the worst of the 4 teams Syracuse would see in November of 2014, and yet the Orange still came out on the losing end, 24-17 to the Wolfpack, a game that featured a rattled true freshman quarterback, a patchwork offensive line, and a team that continues to come up just short.
Remember that Monty Python show where the guy loses his arm, and he uses his other arm, and he loses his leg, and he's still fighting? That's our kids right there. We're just running out of arms and legs. So
I can't fumble the ball with 4 minutes left. I gotta put more air on the last play of the game. I mean, there's too many mistakes that I'm making that cost us this game.
With Saturday afternoon's loss, SU falls to 3-6 for the season, meaning that if it wants to earn bowl eligibility for the 4th time in 5 years, it needs to defeat Duke in this building next week, then go to Pittsburgh and to Boston College, win both of those games just to get to 6-6 and have a chance at the postseason. Reporting at the Carrier Dome, Evan Weston, CitrusTV.
We welcome in our Q's Countdown analysts, Bailey Lipschultz and Kevin Case. So guys, the SU offense is kind of a hot button topic right now, but they're trying to piece together an offense for the remainder of the season. But A.J. Long filling in the hole for Terrell Hunt. How do you think he's doing? True freshman, but what do you...
You said it, Katie. True freshman playing for Syracuse, an offense that has been poor the last couple of years. Yes, and against NC State, he had the big pick 6 and had a fumble, which kind of gave the game away to the Wolfpack. But A.J. Long, 4 touchdowns in 4 games. You compare that to Terrell Hunt, who threw a single touchdown in 5 starts, Kevin. 1 touchdown in 5 starts. He played Central Michigan and Villanova, and he played that bad. I think at this point, you and me are as good as Terrell Hunt.
Well, you touched on it, Bailey. Comparing A.J. Long to Terrell Hunt isn't even really necessary. Hunt didn't play that well in his time on the field, but A.J. Long's been battling. He needs time to develop. He did throw touchdowns, but he also had those 2 real costly turnovers. The bottom line for me is he can't make that big mistake if Cuse is going to win football games.
Well, we're talking about the SU offense kind of piecing itself together, but what did you see against the NC State game that you thought that they were kind of lacking?
Okay, if you're going to start a true freshman quarterback, you have to be able to run the football, and SU just could not against NC State. Didn't make any sense. The Wolfpack had the 90th rated rush defense headed into the game, but Prince Tyson Gully, 15 carries for 28 yards? That's unacceptable.
Not even just PTG, the team as a whole, 38 carries for 37 yards, Kevin. And again, you say a true freshman starting. If you want to win games and make a bowl game with a true freshman starting, you have to do better than that production-wise, and you can't have your freshman quarterback throwing the ball 42 times a game because that is a killer for the Syracuse team.
Well, you mentioned it, bowl eligibility. Let's talk about that. They're pushing their luck on this one. In order to be even considered, they'd have to win the next 3 games. So how likely is that, and how likely are we to make it to a bowl game?
Not going to happen, Katie, simply because Syracuse, their wins are against Villanova, Central Michigan, and Wake Forest. There's not a team that is, in my opinion, as bad as those 3 teams. Wake Forest is the worst team in the ACC, hands down, and Syracuse is right up there. You have to play Duke, who's in the top 25, at BC, at Pitt, back-to-back tough road games with a true freshman quarterback, tough schedule, and I honestly think we have as good of a chance as making the basketball team here at Syracuse.
Well, I'm not too tall, Bailey, so that's not a good chance of happening, but you touched on it. NC State hadn't won a road game since 2010. This is not a good football team. Syracuse couldn't beat them. If Syracuse makes a bowl game, I'll name my son Prince Tyson Scott Schaefer Case or something insane like that because it's not going to happen.
So bowl potential is not looking so likely. We'll have to see how you guys do though in your predictions because the season isn't over yet for the Orange. But hey, Sarah, tell us what's happening over on the court.
Well, it may only be an exhibition game, and the attendance was only under 8,000 fans, but regardless, basketball is here, and they played their first game this past weekend. When the Orange hosted Carleton, the Ravens are coming into the season after winning the 10th CIS National Championship game in 12 years. In the postgame, Coach Boeheim did say it was a learning experience for the team, and it's still very early, but Caleb Joseph debuted for the Orange with a double-digit points against the Ravens, including 7 for 9 from the floor, and had 4 rebounds and 4 assists, and a team best of 19 points. But he was not the only freshman to debut. Chris McCullough, 5-star recruit for the Orange, led the team in rebounds and tallied 14 points. Together, they combined for 43% of Syracuse's offense. But Carleton was no slouch of a team. The Orange have seen them before, and the Ravens reminded that the entire first half. The Orange trailed by 9 heading into the break, but the Orange picked up the momentum and ended up coming back to win the match 76-68. The regular season will start on November 14th against Kenoss State.
Coming up, the big board is back, and we'll check out what's in store for the Orange postseason play. Stick around, we'll be right back.
In the small town of Elmira, New York, a boy was born into an all-American family. The odds of him achieving his dream in the fashion industry? 1 in 23 million. The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 88. I am Tommy Hilfiger, and my family is affected by autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs.
So, I just moved in with this family, and it's embarrassing. The little one, he likes to go outside and crawl around in the giant litter box. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I was born and I knew how to use the litter box. Look at that. That's disgusting. Oh, poop already. You're making me nervous. Oh, okay, I can't look at this anymore. I really hope he grows out of this, for his sake.
How you doing? My name's Steve. My family's lived in this neighborhood for years. Recently, things got so tight, we had to go to our local food bank for help. I lost a lot of sleep worrying about what the neighbors might think. That is until I saw them there, too. How'd I do, Steve?
A little stiff. You could have done a little better.
What? Come on. You know, I have an Academy Award.
Yeah, but not for playing me.
Play a role in ending hunger. Visit feedingamerica.org/hunger and find your local food bank.
And back at the big board with Katie Muldowney, we have a few sports to check out, and it only makes sense to start with the team with the best record in program history.
Yes, and that would be the men's soccer team. They're coming off a nail-biting win, just icing on the cake for the 9 seniors playing in their final home game in orange and blue uniforms.
So let's get started with their game against Boston College. The Eagles are 1-6-1 in the Atlantic Division as number 6 behind number 1 Syracuse. But this weekend there was a little more on the line for the Orange as they recognized 9 seniors in their final home game. And let's take it to the field. Here, Boston College, like I said, big game for the Orange as they're recognizing their seniors. Opening 11 minutes into the game, outside midfielder Diego Medina Mendez hits the crossbar and rolls past Alex Bono. They are up 1-0. 15 minutes later, Oyvind Alseth gets fouled in the box for a penalty. A little lucky for him, but Nick Perea takes the penalty kick and scores. They are tied 1-1. This means we're going into extra time. We'll skip ahead into the first extra time period. Cobra Stila takes a rip from the corner box over the bar. And now just a minute into the second period of extra time, BC Mitty Zico beats Tyler Hilliard to the corner of the cross. Dylan Pitcher wide open, 6 somehow it's wide. Now, a minute later, SU free kick taken by Oyvind Alseth from the left wing, bobbles around in the box, and Skylar Thomas puts it in for the double overtime win. In the 103rd minute, SU wins 2-1. JPC on site with more.
The celebration ended right here as Skylar Thomas jumped in front of his hometown fans. It gave SU the 2-1 win over Boston College in a game that was fit for the playoffs.
Listen, these are the games you want to be in. These are the games you're going to come against in the next month and a half. So we were happy to be a part of it. We know we can play with any team in the country. I think we showed it tonight, against a decent Boston College team. Better possession, better passes, better chances, and we came out on top.
Going in this week, we talked about this being a national tournament kind of game. Boston College is a talented team that, we won't play too many better groups of players than that over the next few weeks.
The Orange awaits weekend scores in the ACC as its tournament seeding is yet to be determined. SU did ensure that it would be in the top 4 with the win. That means a home game right here on the Hill. Reporting from SU Soccer Stadium, JP Chunga, CitrusTV.
The women didn't have the same luck as the men did, celebrating senior night as well. The Lady Orange hosted UNC. The role is a little reversed. UNC holds the number 2 ranking in the conference, where Syracuse takes 12. Moving in, senior day again for the Lady Orange, celebrating a ceremony for Alexis Caval. 17th, UNC moving down the field, nice ball movement in front of the SU goal. Summer Green rips a shot to the far post, assisted by Amber. UNC goes up 1-0. Now moving into the 26 minutes, Alex Lamontagne fights off the UNC defense and narrowly misses, tying the game to a run to the goal. Summer Green dribbles across the field, tries to double UNC's lead, but her shot is saved by Courtney Broston, keeping it 1-0. When time winding down, Steph Skilton passes to Maya Pitts, who goes 5 to the hold to tie the game at 1. UNC and SU tied 1-1. The score remains tied after 90 minutes of play. Now in overtime in the 96 minutes, Summer Green sends a cross into the box where Paige Nielsen finds her just underneath. UNC 2-1 win. SU drops its final game of the season. Lauren Walsh has more.
In the last game of the regular season, the stakes were high here at the SU Soccer Stadium on Senior Day as the Orange took on the reigning national champions of North Carolina. Syracuse was able to hang with the Tar Heels until falling 2-1 in a 10-minute period of sudden death overtime.
It's heartbreaking, working that hard throughout the entire game and ending in overtime, but we're really proud of ourselves and how we played and our effort, and we just know that next year needs to come out exactly like this game did.
We finished strong and we know that we can compete with the best, and that's one positive that we're taking out of this, and go into spring, play hard in the spring, and then remember this last game, going to the first game next season.
Yeah, they're one of the best teams in the country, and we held our own. We weren't out-competed, we weren't outplayed. I'm really, really proud of the group. It was fantastic.
The Orange look to next season with optimism, only losing Alexis Koval as the lone senior of the squad. Reporting from the SU Soccer Stadium, Lauren Walsh, CitrusTV.
With our last field sport for the show, the field hockey team is making waves. After dominating the weekend against number 6 Duke and Bucknell, they still have one game left in regular season play. But first, let's see how they did. The FHCA released Tuesday that the Syracuse ranks number 7 in the D1 National Coaches Poll, and after a difficult start to the season, the Orange have picked up momentum heading into postseason play. Now let's take a look here at our statistics from the UMass game. At UMass, Syracuse wins 6-4. Lauren Brooks with 2 goals, 5 shots on goal for the game, and freshman Lisa Lagerway with 2 shots and 4 shots on goal as well.
If you thought we were done, you're quite mistaken. We still have a lot more to come in the final 2 sports of the fall season, and our weekly recap of our player favorites right here on the bench on the other side of the break.
Why was I?
Know what?
What?
Since I got adopted, I've learned a lot about these humans.
I know. I mean, check out these 2. It's Flirt City over here.
Yeah, I noticed that. It looks like my human is definitely into your human.
Oh, look! I think she's getting his number.
Nice.
Your human's got some sweet moves.
Takes after his dog. Oh, look, they're doing that thing where they put their arms around each other.
She kicked up a leg. It's like in the movies.
That's awesome. Looks like we're going to be hanging out a little bit more.
You realize that 49 million Americans struggle with hunger? That's 1 out of every 6 Americans.
These people are around us every day. They're our friends, they're our coworkers, their kids go to school with our kids.
Sometimes we're not even aware that they're struggling. This problem is closer than you think. But so is the solution.
Play a role in ending hunger. Visit feedingamerica.org/hunger and find your local food bank.
They may not have regular meets on the Hill, but the Orange cross country team, both men and women, were at the ACC Championship last Friday. The men's team defended their ACC title, sitting at number 3 in the nation. Both programs are the highest ranked in 2014 than ever before in program history.
Back at the big board and back to the court, the women's volleyball team is our next stop for the end of season play. In 2 weekend road games, the Orange returned with disappointing news at Louisville and at Pittsburgh. This weekend's loss increases the team's losing streak to 3 games, and between both games the past weekend, the Orange were 1-6 for sets. Sylvia Uatara with 13 kills and 2 blocks, while Stacey Smith had 7 kills and 1 block for the Orange. From the Wood to the women's ice hockey team played back-to-back games against Penn State and Kennedy Ice Pavilion. For the Orange split the series in the first 2 games of CHA play. In Game 1, the Orange dominated the shot count 34-20, and although it wasn't senior night, all 3 goals came from seniors on the squad. This win snapped a day-game losing streak against Clarkson the weekend before. This weekend marked the start of CHA play for the Orange as Syracuse opened the weekend against Penn State on Friday. The win moves the team to a 9-0-0 all-time record against Penn State. Senior Kaylee Goodnow puts the first point on the board for SU in the first, followed by seniors Julie Nair and second Allie Lacombe in the third, but it didn't end there. The teams faced off against Kennedy Ice Pavilion on Saturday. Unfortunately for the Orange, the game didn't go as well as the night before. Somewhat of a back-and-forth game here on the ice with both teams skating neck and neck. Freshman forward Alyssa Burris scored the first goal for the team just 5 minutes into game. Penn State followed closely behind, tying the game just 4 minutes later with less. After a 3-1 victory against Penn State on Friday, SU would finish off their weekend with their 5th tie of the season. But the team said they were unhappy with the penalty kill and the lack of shots in the second and third period.
Our penalty kill is anemic, just people not making their reads, and that's veterans too that have been doing basically the same kill for 3 years, 2, 3, 4 years. So that's something we have to work on. That's part of the coaching job, I guess.
How many ties we already have this year is kind of disappointing, and plus how many shots and opportunities we have. We need to bury them. Like even in the first, we need to bury those, and it's a totally different game then.
I'm pretty disappointed in it. I thought that we could have won that game. We had a lot of opportunities, and we outshot them by quite a bit, but it happens.
SU will face their rivals, Mercyhurst University, next Friday at home at 7 p.m. Reporting from Tennessee Ice Pavilion, Taryn Vericchio, Citrus TV. The women's ice hockey program has developed a friendly competition among repeat opponents, but one team for the Orange leaves a taste of rivalry on the ice. Citrus TV's reporter Taryn Vericchio learned about why this historic rivalry has become what it is today.
SU and Mercyhurst University first competed in 2008. The Orange have not once come out on top. There's just something about Mercyhurst that gets SU every time.
When it becomes Mercyhurst specifically, and they've had our number, obviously it's something I think it's just maybe a little bit of a psychological barrier, and we have to kind of get a bridge that gap.
They work hard. I think that's their biggest key. They push hard in the corners. They work hard. They shoot the puck. They have a lot of skill. So if we could beat that, then we're good. If we just have to play hard.
Although Mercyhurst has dominated SU in the past, the Orange have some new faces this year that the team thinks will finally help pull out a win.
And we respect Mercyhurst, but we're not going to give them so much respect that we can't go out and play with them. I think that now we feel we have enough depth and enough experience that we feel that those will be great games.
I'm bringing into it a little bit of experience. You know, I'm a junior, so I've got that 2 years behind me. So hopefully that'll help. Because they don't know the whole rivalry yet, so having such a young team is just going to push us to just look at it like another game and just play hockey.
Finally, the time may have come for SU as the team says they're ready for a win.
Anything can happen in the NCAA game, so I feel that if we come out to play, we can, just with our work ethic, we can beat them.
It's our last time facing them, and at one point you just want to beat them. I don't want to go, and I'm sure all the other seniors don't want to go and defeat. That we haven't beat them yet.
Enough's enough probably from our kids to just, it's about time, and not just wishing for it to happen, but to go out and make it happen.
The rivalry will continue at home this weekend. Taryn Vericchio, Citrus TV.
So we're back here, Katie. Let's check out how Syracuse is faring in the ACC overall, because it's not just about football or basketball, but we have soccer, field hockey, volleyball too.
Lots more teams on the hill.
Of course. And let's start with the football team. In the ACC, football didn't plan to go have the season go as poorly as it has, but Florida State, Clemson, Boston College take the first 3 spots in the ACC, 2 of which they've already played. We know the records of those games. Boston College is yet to be seen against Syracuse later in the season, but
we talked a little bit about it earlier with our Q's Countdown analyst patchwork on the team, just trying to make sense of what's happened left on the field. But talking about one of the best teams on the hill, the men's soccer team, Syracuse ranked number 1 in the ACC. That's a huge goal, huge accomplishment for the team. But if we look, Clemson and Wake Forest, both teams that the Orange faced in their regular season play throughout the year. So they were at Clemson, they won 1-0 there, and moving to Wake Forest, they played them at home, winning 3-1. So both wins with Clemson and Wake Forest. That means that there's 2 losses and 1 tie throughout the entire season. The first ACC tournament will happen on Sunday, and they'll either be playing NC State or Duke, so depending on how that fares, the soccer team will be back for ACC play.
And to check out the field hockey team, also having a little bit of difficulty early in the season where they came off defending national championships in the last 4 years, but currently ranked number 6 in the ACC conference. behind Virginia, UNC, and Boston College, which they have played before. But
they're struggling a bit, but not as much as our volleyball team. Coach Yellen's squad, 15th in the ACC ranking. And then the women's soccer team not following too far behind with 12th in the ACC. So those aren't as great. So these rankings, these make it look not so bad.
But combined, they're 11, 28, and 2 overall. But we've covered the basics, shared our analysis, and gave you the facts. But still to come to wrap up the week for the best of the best, our top performers, and what's to come, stay with us.
My name's Katie and I'm in the 9th grade. I'm an A average student and I'm an athlete working towards a scholarship. And everybody tells me how much potential I have. But I just wish someone would tell me where my next meal is coming from. Katie, how'd I do?
Do you have to be so serious?
Well, I mean, I did like a crazy dance in a movie if you want me to like, do a little, no.
Play a role in ending hunger. Visit feedingamerica.org/hunger and find your local food bank.
Today, about 1 in 5 Americans is living with a disability. Over 50 million people, including many of our friends and neighbors, teachers and co-workers, heroes and leaders. 20 years ago, the Americans with Disabilities Act guaranteed every person the right to live, work, and participate fully in the American experience. We've come a long way since then, and we are committed to making even more progress in the years ahead. Visit disability.gov to see how you can help.
Well, you've heard it before, but we'll remind you again, if you haven't checked us out on the web, hop online and visit sportsblog.citrustv.net.
But don't stop there. For all your Syracuse sports coverage, follow us on Twitter and throw us a like on Facebook at Citrus TV Sports.
But what's the buzz around campus? Well, our Citrus TV social media specialist, Gabby Rusk, did some research and found some entertaining gold.
Well, let's start with soccer midfield Yuso Pasanen, who tweeted, "Daily Orange, thanks for recognizing our ACC title on today's paper." That was a little bit of a jab at the student media there.
Now, in other news, visiting Syracuse Hill is Kevin Hart, and he oranged out this weekend when he came to visit the Hill. He even said he touched down in Syracuse and he was wearing orange drawers with a WZ. I don't know how to pronounce that.
Well, thanks to our weatherman Jared West, wide receiver for the football team. Yes, Jared, one of the great things about playing in the Dome is that it never rains, but I can't say it won't ever be cold, especially when it becomes the frozen Dome to host the Syracuse Crunch.
But of course, lastly, it's always heartwarming to see teammate camaraderie. Heather Schwartz tweeted, "It makes me laugh a lot, and to the point where it hurts my side." So glad to see that heartwarming fact.
Well, I guess what happens in the locker room stays in the locker room, but we know heading into our top performers is that will happen on the field with Lauren Brooks strikes again. She is our bronze player of the week. She tailed 2 goals in their most recent game, making that 8 goals for the regular season. So bronze gold it is.
And coming in our silver medalist, sophomore guard Ron Patterson tallied 15 for Cuse's 21 points, including 4 from 5 from the arc. He deserves that silver medal.
Lastly, our gold player, he's been up here before, but he deserves the gold again this week, scoring the game winner during senior night, an overtime game, and his second game-winning goal of the year is Skylar Thomas of the men's soccer team.
He deserves that gold too, but there is plenty happening on the Hill, so be sure to check out the games coming up. Friday night, women's ice hockey, as Taryn mentioned before, is facing off against its rivalry team, Mercyhurst, starting on Friday at 7 p.m. and again on Saturday.
Well, they play against on Saturday afternoon, round out at the back-to-back weekend set. But before the football team hosts Duke in the Dome, final game for the seniors.
But post-play for the men's soccer team, something you won't want to miss. Head over to the SU Soccer Stadium to watch their first round of ACC tournament play against number 2 match Duke or NC State. But, Katie, it's been fun. Tune in next week to hear all about your favorite teams over again.
Until then, I'm Katie Muldowney.
And I'm Sarah Merrifield. Thanks for watching.